There we go. So let me introduce once again Miss Jenny Johnston. She's going to talk to us today about an important soft skill. So Jenny, take it away.
Okay, hi you guys. I hope that some of you came to the last time I presented on time management. And now we're going to go over taking responsibility, our emotional resilience, which is a pretty important skill to learn as a teenager, but also challenging. So we'll talk about what self-management is, the ability to regulate your emotions, manage stress, and live our best lives. And my intention is to get through all the slides, but if anybody has a question at any point or you want to interrupt me and ask something, please feel free. I can't see the chat when I share, so if someone needs to interrupt me, then please feel free. So guess what? There is only one thing in the whole entire world that you have control over, and that is yourself. So your emotions and your reactions and your behavior, those are 100% your responsibility. So we're going to start by imagining a scenario, the grocery store tantrum. I'm sure you guys have been to the store when you've seen one, and probably as a child, you probably had one yourself. So say you're at the store and you don't have they don't have your favorite yogurt. It's the only yogurt you like to eat, and you eat it every day for breakfast. And you're only 3 years old, so you have no other school skills. So you just have a meltdown and you're crying and you're stomping your feet. You might drop to the ground and have an absolute fit. Now, this is normal for a 3-year-old. It's an understandable reaction for someone who's young and doesn't know how to manage their emotions. But now I want you to imagine your mom or your dad doing the same thing at the grocery store. Now, you've probably never seen this happen. And why is that? It's because that as adults, we learn to regulate ourselves. And I put in public in here because some adults are really not good at managing their emotions when they're in a space that feels safe to them. So you may have experienced adults not behaving well. I was actually at a family event and my 39-year-old cousin literally had a tantrum. It was a something to behold because his parents wouldn't let him borrow the car. So some people do need to still work on these skills. But I like to use this as an example because most of our parents are not going to drop to the ground screaming because they don't have the yogurt at the grocery store. But as silly as this example is, there's some truth to it because in certain situations, we might feel justified to let our emotions run wild. And I'm using adults in this example because you guys are still young and you are still learning these things, and it's okay that you don't know this. Many adults, they still could learn this, but they haven't learned it. And so I'm using them as examples for what you can strive to do that other adults cannot manage to do, even when they're older, and they could learn these skills. But some emotions like frustration and anger, fear, disappointment, patience, these are situations where adults can behave very, very badly, but they don't have to. They feel justified to do it, but they could learn better skills. But why does this happen? Because it takes a skill set. We are not born knowing how to handle frustration and how to handle sadness and how to handle anger. We have to learn this, and we learn it from the people who are around us, and we observe our friends and our family and how they react. You might be on social media and you might be watching people who don't behave very great. And so you're learning from people around you how to behave. Being calm and patient and in control of our emotions, that is learned. And then I put really small here, but I do want to say some people never put in the effort to learn this. They don't want to ever learn how to really control their emotions, their behaviors, and their reactions, but you can. You can learn this. And you are so young. What a great time to learn this skill. But it does take effort and it takes practice to manage our emotions. So why don't more people learn these skills? I am going to be blunt because I'm a blunt kind of person, and I think it's important that we take responsibility. One reason is we don't want to take responsibility. It is so easy to blame other people, events in our lives, circumstances, and that takes all the pressure off of us. I didn't do anything wrong. My mom was the one that was so mean to me. My sister was the one that made me so mad. Taking that blame and putting it somewhere else is much, much easier than saying, you know what, I didn't handle that well, but I can try to learn better. So it's easier to blame. Admitting that we have a choice in our behavior is also hard because that means we could change that behavior. And that can be scary. It can be very scary to think about having to change some of the things that we do and some of the ways that we react to things. So our thoughts and our behaviors, they are powerful, they're habitual, and they're changeable. So we have thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. Some of them are very obvious and you'll be aware of them. They'll be in the front of your mind and you'll think them. And this is a lot of, anxiety and worry will be right there in front of you. Some stuff is very subconscious and you don't really realize it's there, but it's just those little voices of like, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I did that wrong. I can't do anything right. Those are also there and they're just running in the background and they're very unhelpful and they're negative and they're self-defeating. And most people don't realize the effect of these thousands and thousands of thoughts a day being negative, how that affects your life. So they're habitual because we do what is the easiest. And what's easiest is what we've created as a habit. We don't have to think about it. We just do it. Even when we know we don't want to do something, like most smokers don't want to smoke, but that's a habit they have. And so they keep doing it. Even when we know they're unhelpful, it's hard to make a different choice. And this is where we become our own worst enemy, that we know we don't want to do something, but we continue to do it. And then we also expect a different outcome, which is silly, because if we do the same thing, we're going to get the same outcome. But all of this is changeable. Anything is changeable if we actually want to make that change, but it is hard. So most of us continue to do those things that are those well-worn paths that we know. Our sister makes us mad and we scream and yell, or our brother wants to get us angry, so we hit him and then we end up hitting him. All of these things, they're just hard to change, to pause and make a different decision. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. It just takes work.
Excuse me a second, Miss Jenny, I'm going to tell you that I've had a few people who have contributed to the chat. One of them had said one of these negative thoughts that they've had is, why didn't I already know that? Gee, I'm such an idiot. That's one that kind of came through. Another person said, when you were given the example about the tantrum in the grocery store, they actually saw a grown-up drop to the ground because someone cut in line. They said it was hysterical.
Oh,
So I know you're leading up to a point, but I wanted to share those two with you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, you guys can add whatever you want in the chat too. I do love to hear what you guys have to say. And we will talk about some things that you can do when those negative thoughts come in. So taking responsibility is one of the most important things we can do. Once we're ready to admit that we are responsible for how we think, how we behave, and how we react to something, that allows us to take control back from our lives. And every moment that we choose to give our power away to other people, to blame or to blame those circumstances, events, or people, we can make that choice, or we can make the choice that we want to take responsibility, and that puts us in the driver's seat of our life. When we blame and when we put things outside of ourselves, that's kind of like being in the passenger seat and trying to tell someone else how to drive. It's your life. You want to get in the driver's seat. You want to be the one in control, making the decisions that are best for you. So some of the things that you can do to improve that self-regulation. Be mindful of your inner dialogue. So this is really going to be my number one piece of advice for you today, is listen to how you're talking to yourself. So you've got to start by just listening. So we have thousands of thoughts a day. They can be positive or negative, and they really can influence how you feel, even physically. And so you want to pay attention to what is conscious, but you also want to start paying attention to what those underlying negative thoughts might be that have been there for so long, you don't even really notice they're there. You want to start pay attention to them. You don't necessarily have to change them right now, but you want to notice them, because you can't change something that you're not aware of. So you have to bring it in to your full awareness before you try to make something different. Then you can work towards changing things. You're going to notice patterns that are going to emerge. Then you can start to challenge and change those thoughts so that they can be helpful and kind. And this does take a lot of time, but you can control the type of thoughts you have and change them. So if you think about like a balance of positive and negative thoughts, you can take that from a highly negative most of the time down to neutral, and then to a more positive. And I am not saying this out of like having no experience with it. I actually had horrible, terrible self-esteem the majority of my life. And I used this as an adult to improve those thoughts that I would constantly say to myself. So you want to think about the thoughts that you have as like this really well-worn path. So here's the path that you have, and the thoughts that you have over and over and over every day, they are creating this pathway, and they can be really bad. I have some very, toned down, but I'm dumb. I never do anything right. I'm so lazy. Why do I even try? No one likes me anyway. This is pointless. I hate myself. These are all some of those thoughts that can just all day kind of be there. And this affects how you feel physically and emotionally in your day. So this is the well-worn path of those thoughts. To do something different, you are now in a field of weeds. So if you're trying to make a change in your life and you want to have more positive thoughts, this is how it's going to feel in the beginning. It's going to feel like you're in a field of weeds and you have no idea where to go or make these changes. But it's possible. You just have to stick to it. I'm doing the best I can. Small steps is still progress. I'm learning to be kind to myself. That thought is just a lie. I will keep trying. It's just a thought. Every day I'm making positive changes. These are things you can say in response to those negative thoughts that pop into your head. And when you do that consistently enough and you don't give up and you keep doing it, you're going to see some changes in that inner thinking. You're going to create some new pathways that are kind and helpful, but you have to keep at it because it takes a long time to build a new path. And so in that field of weeds, when you feel frustrated and angry and annoyed, You have to remind yourself, I'm doing this for a reason. I want to improve my mindset. I want to improve how I talk to myself. So you want to keep at it, because eventually you'll create those new paths. They'll be kind and helpful and supportive towards you. And that is one of the first goals you want to do when you're thinking about changing your emotional regulation. Okay, then we're going to go next to the words that you speak. So that was kind of like what we're thinking in our head. Now think about the words that you speak. Words are very powerful. Unfortunately, this is really common in our society. The majority of people complain as opposed to finding things to be grateful for. This has a tremendous effect on how we feel about our life and our world and the people around us. So you can start to notice what you're talking about with others, how you speak with others. Are you complaining about things? Are you complaining about other people or complaining about your life? Or are there things that you can share gratitude and talk about things that are making you happy and joyful? It has a tremendous effect on how you feel. When you talk about things with your friends, with your parents, with anyone, do you find the good in things or do you find the bad in things? And I don't know how many of you know Debbie Downer, but just the perfect analogy for this. Debbie Downer finds the worst in everything. And when you do that, it makes you feel worse and worse. And then you keep doing it more and more. It's a vicious cycle. And it's something that we have to train ourselves to get out of, but we have to catch that we're doing it in the first place, because a lot of people don't notice that they do this. And then another thing is to notice, do you often look around and think other people are doing everything wrong? Is there always like you're nitpicking on other people and how are this person did this wrong and this person did that wrong? These kind of things also have a big effect on how you feel. So when you talk about your day, do you feel better or worse afterwards? I can almost guarantee if when you're talking about anything, if you're complaining and blaming and all of this, you're going to feel icky in your body, because you're telling your body that things are not okay. So then your body's going to react by not feeling okay. So if you think about yourself as a thermometer, you can try to keep yourself in this green, yellow area. When you start noticing that you're feeling in this orange and red, where you're getting really really sad, or you're getting really angry, noticing that that's happening for you and coming up with ways to calm yourself down. This is how you learn to regulate your emotions. It's a lot easier if you can regulate yourself here in the yellow, catch yourself before you get all the way up into the red where you've blown your top, and now it's going to take a lot longer to recover. And I am not saying this is easy. I am just saying it's possible. It's possible to learn how to catch yourself in this yellow. Man, I'm feeling really angry. I remember I feel better if I go for a run. I'm going to go for a run. And when I come back, I'll deal with whatever this is. Those are tools you can use to help yourself to stay more calm and not get up into this red. So I can't see what it says. Okay, what can you do? So pay attention to the words that you say and how your body feels in connection to that. And something really easy that I started when I started really paying attention to my language was that I would say I was starving all the time. I'm not starving. I'm not even close to starving. I probably could go 2 months without food. I'm just hungry. So I started using more toned down words, less extreme words, because the way that we speak really has an effect on how we feel about our life. Like, I'm so stressed. am I so stressed, or do I just have a lot to do? Can I say that in a way that is more calm to keep myself in a more calm state? So that's the next piece, toning down your language to notice those sensations in your body. They also can calm down at the same time. Language, the words that we use, and how we feel in our body are very, very connected. And this is going to take time and effort and practice, but you're creating new pathways. You're in that field of weeds trying to make new paths. It's not going to be easy, but it'll definitely be worth it, because when you feel better, everything in your life is just easier, and you don't feel like you're in a battle all of the time. Something else that I think is really important that we don't do enough in our society is learning to tolerate and regulate being uncomfortable. So, this is really true, right? Like, we have an air conditioner, we have a heater, we have food whenever we want it. We don't ever have to be uncomfortable. And that's really bad for us as human beings and as a species, because we don't know what to do when things don't go our way. We get frustrated and we think something's wrong, but really tolerating being uncomfortable is part of being a human being. And it's something you want to learn how to do. So what comes with tolerating it is understanding that being uncomfortable is good for you. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but like cold showers, cold plunging, forcing yourself to do things that push you outside of your comfort zone. This is where we grow and realize we are far stronger than we think we are. But if we don't ever put ourselves in those situations, we don't know. Uncomfortable feelings pass. Emotions end. Nothing lasts forever. The feelings that you need to tolerate, they won't last forever. It's just a matter of staying calm in the moment. Forcing yourself to be uncomfortable and learning how to calm yourself down is an incredible skill that you can use. You can learn how to do it when you're safe and in a good, comfortable environment, so that you can use it when you need to, when you're panicking, when you're having anxiety, all of these things. You can use the skills you learned when you were calm and safe. You want to understand that our bodies create all sorts of feelings that can be scary and they can be overwhelming, but they're just feelings. When you can learn to trust yourself, that you can tolerate those feelings and you can teach yourself how to recover. Those are really, really important skills to have. So, what does this look like? I'm going to let my dog out. Hold on. Okay. I'm going to talk about this with anxiety and panic, because I feel like anxiety and panic are really prevalent in a lot of people's lives. And they're just feelings. No one is dying from anxiety. No one is dying from a panic attack, but they feel scary. But if you understand what's happening when you're feeling those things, you can learn to not overreact and stay calm, and then they'll pass quicker. And just understanding it's a normal feeling that everyone has. So the two things they come along with is increased heart rate and shallow breathing. And both of those things are something our body was designed to do to keep us safe if we had an emergency and we needed to be able to react really quickly. So you want to, if you're able to purposefully create these feelings when you're in a safe environment, you tolerate the feeling that you're having, the high heart rate, this quick and shallow breathing. And then understand that your body is like a calculator. So when you put, those of you who are, good with math. I love math. If I put something in my calculator and I get the wrong answer, I've put something wrong in the calculator. The calculator didn't do it wrong. So I'm trying to use that analogy. You can use the computer back when there's programming. If you program the computer to do something and it did it, but it didn't give you the outcome you wanted, you programmed it wrong. The computer didn't do it wrong. This is your body. Your body is going to do exactly what you are telling it to do. If you are shallow breathing and panicking, your body is going to respond to that with the correct output, which is to increase your heart rate, make your pupils dilate, make your whole body tense up, because that's the message, that's the input you're giving your body. So anxiety and panic is simply our body responding to the message we're sending our brain. And that message could be real or imagined. It doesn't matter. Our brain does not know the difference between something we are imagining and something that is real. And so your body is doing exactly what it should do. So that response is not life-threatening. And if you can learn to tolerate the feelings, you can learn to slowly reduce how much we overreact when those feelings show up. Then learning how to control your recovery. You have everything you need within yourself. You can, I just listened to a podcast the other day that was talking about how some of the medications that doctors put people on that need, like anti-anxiety, anti-depression, all of those things, those medicines are made up of chemicals you can create with your brain. You can create dopamine from exercise. You can create cortisol from a cold plunge. You can create these hormones naturally in yourself, and they are free and available to you at any time if you learn how to use your body as a tool, as a beneficial tool for yourself. The breath is the most important tool that you have, and it is 100% within your control. It is free, it is easy, and it is quick. And you want to learn to use it to your advantage. It is number one, far and away, the easiest way to calm yourself down if you're feeling worked up. There's a lot of apps out there, so Calm, Headspace, YouTube, and there's other free resources that teach breathing techniques, teaching how to calm yourself down, teach how to let thoughts just go and not get hyper-focused on them. So that's something that I recommend you do if you want to learn some more skills in this way. And then I'm absolutely not requiring anybody to do this at all if you don't want to. But if you're willing, if you feel safe and comfortable and you want to try this, I want to have you bring up your heart rate and your breathing. And then I want to teach you a way to calm it down. So this is what I think I want to do. I'm going to explain how we're going to do the breathing afterward. And that way you know ahead of time. And if you do not want to do this, you absolutely don't have to at all. So I'm going to set a timer for 45 seconds, I think. And then I'm going to do jumping jacks. You can do whatever you want, run in place, jump up and down, whatever you want. You can do some push-ups. We're just going to bring our heart rate up. And then we're going to go through a breathing exercise to show you how you can bring your heart rate and your breathing down just in like a nice and easy way. And I'll just tell you what it is now so you know ahead of time. So you breathe in through your nose, a deep breath. Then you breathe in a little bit more. So you would do this. Then you breathe out like you're trying to fog up a glass. And you just do that. And that you'll feel your heart rate come down. So since this is a optional activity, Some of you might not do it. I don't know if anyone's going to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to set a timer for 45 minutes. You can turn off your video if you want. And I'm going to do jumping jacks for 25 minutes, not on camera. So I'm going to step over to the side and then let's come back and we'll do the breathing together. Okay. Ready, set, go. Seconds left. Okay. So hopefully your heart rate's up a little bit. It's only 45 seconds, but breathe in through your nose. Don't let it out. Breathe in a little more. Let it all out like you're going to fog up glass. And then do it again. You should feel your heart rate coming down some. I'm going to do it one more time. And my heart rate is almost back to normal. So the reason I like doing that is because when we panic and have anxiety, those are the feelings we have in our body. Those feelings are the same as when we exercise. We're just having a heartbeat up, our breathing is shallow, but we can learn to calm ourselves down. Okay, so thank you for those of you who practice that with me. So the trick is to practice this often when you feel calm, when you feel in control, because that's how it becomes natural that you can do this in the moment of feeling panicky or having some anxiety. You've got to practice it at other times. Okay. Being mindful of your influences. This is probably something I'd imagine your parents have talked to you about. But as another adult, I'm going to tell you how important this is. What are you letting into your brain? What is on your social media? What news and headlines are you doing? What shows are you watching and movies, podcasts? Your friends, are they good influences on you? Your family, do you have hobbies? How do you spend your downtime? The things that we let into our mind and the way we spend our time has a huge influence on how we feel. So what can you do? Pay attention to how you feel during and after certain people you're around, events that you go to, after spending time on your phone, watching shows. Do you like the way you feel after? If not, maybe it's something you should lessen in your life so you don't have as much time spent doing that thing. When you notice that negative effects come from some of these things, then do something about it. Eliminate that social media person you're following if they always make you feel icky afterward. Stop watching news if you feel awful after you watch it. It takes effort to complain and to whine and to brood about problems. You can use that effort, that same effort, in a positive way instead. Make changes you want to make. It's all within your control. You're the only one who can look out for yourself. So you've got to make yourself a priority, how you feel, make that a priority so that when you feel better, then you want to get out there more and do more things, and that's all under your control. So you can only focus on one thing at a time, right? So like if I talked about something you want to put some effort into changing, or say you were really interested in like 4 things that I talked about, you can't change 4 things at once. You can only change one thing at a time. So think about one of the things that maybe I had gone over that you want to focus on improving, and put some effort into making those changes that you want to make. And that was my whole presentation. So I was much shorter today than my time management one. So for the rest of the time, I just can answer questions if anyone has any questions, or whatever. And I don't know if anyone.
Gosh,
Oh,
Miss Jenny.
Mary, all this stuff must have gone to you for the chat.
That's right. And I've been kind of responding to a few people as they've been sending information through. Gosh, Miss Jenny, I mean, this has just been awesome for me. I know this is a presentation for high school students, but goodness gracious, this is something that I think all ages can understand, appreciate, and put into use. So I think it was very valuable. I did have some people asking, where can we find the recording? And this recording will be available on our Sequoia Grove High School YouTube channel. So if you look at SGCA High School on YouTube, if you searched for that, you'll find our YouTube channel. Or if you go to our counseling website, we also have it listed there. So that's all there. Let me see. I've had students, this was an amazing presentation, and she has 4 exclamation points after it. She says it was very thorough and touched on so many key points. So I know I just am going to open up the microphones for a minute, but before I do, I'm going to stop recording. So I'm going to say thank you just so that it can be on the end of the recording, but stay with us because we'll have some other announcements. So thanks for this. I'm going to stop the recording, and we will open up for questions.